Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to Into Pencils. My name's Brandon, and I like to pride myself on the fact that I can think without the pressures of the political bias bullshit. We are most active on facebook.com/indepensils, or just search for Indepensils. You can also find us on Twitter @Indepensils, or check out our YouTube channel. Just search, you guessed it, Indepensils. This show I'm dedicating to my buddy Josh, because he is a sexy man beast. It has nothing to do with the show whatsoever, but he's my friend. Anyway, a few days ago, Donald Trump lifted federal guidelines. This wasn't a law, this wasn't an executive order by President Obama. It was guidelines for states for the protection of transgender children, school aged kids, to use the bathroom of their choice. Trump repealed that. He lifted that. It wasn't actually a law, so he lifted that. And if I understand this correctly, I believe what that entails is that transgender students were encouraged by the Obama administration to use the bathroom that they most closely identify with. I don't think it had anything to do with whether they were under medical transitioning or not. I think it came down to personal choice. Trump lifted that. So that is the uproar with transgender bathroom laws. And you know, North Carolina is not doing very well from an economic standpoint because they've basically outlawed men going to women, women going to men, I think. I have to read that bill a little closer, but I know they're not very popular right now. So the reason I wanted to have this as one of the topics is even though I lean left, I think you'd be surprised that I don't hold the common cliche liberal narrative on this issue. Let me start off first by saying I am 100%, 110% supportive of the LGBT community and for them to have equal rights, the same rights that I have as a straight person. To try to use religion or a book to take away the rights of LGBT people or try to deny them the same rights that we have. Not only do I find that morally reprehensible, it's completely unconstitutional. Religion cannot be law in this country. It is against the Constitution. It's also morally unreasonable. Just because your religion teaches something doesn't mean it applies to everyone. So stop shoving it down people's throats, okay? That being said, what I wish would have happened when this idea and this issue came to light is I wish we could have had a discussion about it. Because whether or not you want to believe it or not as a liberal, this doesn't just affect transgender people. And I believe that we can find a way to approach this issue that makes it comfortable for everybody to go to the bathroom. Some companies are already doing it. In some restaurants, some small mom and pop businesses that are there putting restrooms in that are unisex. Or they have an extra bathroom, not just men and women. They have an extra bathroom for changing your child, or if you want to go into the people are finding ways to deal with the issue. My question is, why can't the government? Why can't the government? This seems like an issue that is more complicated than I think people realize. And I'll tell you why. I want transgender people to be able to use the bathroom they feel more comfortable with, just like I want to use the bathroom I feel most comfortable with. I don't think that's a bad motive. I really don't. However, there goes my phone. Okay, Laura, I will get back to you as soon as this is done. Um, anyway, the reason I feel that way is because this should be a dialogue. This shouldn't be one group coming in and say, well, I feel more comfortable Even though I'm biologically a man, I feel more comfortable going into a woman's restroom. That's great. But I don't feel like you should sacrifice other people's comfort to gain your own comfort. I feel like that discussion needs to be had so everybody wins and not one group wins and one group loses. I feel the same way about race. And I'm going to touch on that in a different segment. When it comes to race, and this is again where I kind of have an issue with, well, liberal and conservative stance, but this is my issue toward liberals. We need to correct racism. We need to correct it. It is in our institutions, it's in our law, it's in our criminal justice system, which is law, which I just said. It is a problem. You do, as a white person, have an easier life, generally speaking. Generally speaking. Obviously, there's exceptions to everything. But we don't have to go down the road and wonder if a cop is going to treat us differently because we're black, or we're Mexican, or we're a Muslim. We don't have to deal with that. And when this travel ban came about, and I'm getting off on a tangent, but this is important. When the travel ban came about, most of the people that I saw defending Trump in this travel ban were white, middle-class people in America. Christian. Or non-Muslim, I guess I should say. You know why they don't have a problem with this? Because it doesn't affect them. Okay? And I'm going to start off by saying that. This is where conservatives get it wrong. You don't like it because it doesn't affect you. If you were a Muslim and they held your kid at the airport, which they did, they held a 5-year-old at an airport, you'd be pissed because that's your child. If you are black or you're Hispanic, let's go with the Hispanic part at this moment. If you're Hispanic and you're here and you're undocumented, yes, maybe right now they're not going after you, although there are things and reports saying that they are going after people that aren't a danger to society and splitting them up because they can. That's morally wrong. However, liberals, this is where you get it wrong. You say you're so against racism, but you seem so willing to let that racism reverse itself onto white people. And that's not right. If you want to eliminate racism, eliminate it. Don't eliminate it for one group by letting it occur to a different group. That is equality. And that's where you get it wrong, liberals. I'm sorry. I agree with you on a lot of stuff. I disagree with you there. That is called reverse racism. I know it's a cliche argument by the right, but they're kind of right. It's a double standard, and it needs to stop. If you ever want to stamp out racism, you need to get people together that collectively agree on the same things. If you want to eliminate racism, get rid of it completely. Don't let it be okay for a different group and not for this group. It's a double standard, and people aren't going to respect the cause you're fighting for. It's that simple. And that kind of correlates with the transgender bathroom instances. Transgender folks, I do not envy your situation whatsoever. I was lucky enough to be biologically born into the body that I feel. I'm a male, and I feel like a man. And I'm sorry you have to go through the difficulties and the surgeries and the hormone treatments and everything that goes into that. I'm sorry about that. That can't be fun. And I'm sure, at least if you're in my generation, when you were in school, you were probably picked on quite a bit if you were open about it. And that's not fair, and that's not right. And you should be able to use the bathroom of your choice. You should. Unfortunately, if we just open up the bathrooms to everybody, we've created more problems than when we started with. As cliche as the argument from the right is, and I actually do question the integrity of a lot of the people making this argument. I feel like they're doing it just because that's what Trump is doing or that's what Republicans are doing. I don't know that they're even actually interested in fixing the problem. But if they are, this is where I agree. When it comes to going to the bathroom, we can't just open up the door to everybody. One of the reasons being, and I know this is redundant because I lost my train of thought. Duh. um, you do open the door for allowing sexual predators to take advantage of the situation. You do. I do not think that transgender people, unless you're transgender and you're a sexual predator, which is possible, I don't think you inherently are interested in doing that. And for people to make that argument is just ignorant. It's complete ignorance. That's assuming someone is perverse just because they don't feel a certain way in their body. It's just ignorant. And that's kind of why I want this to be a discussion. I know that you want people to understand that you have the right to use the bathroom that you most identify with, and you probably make a good argument. And I think we should find a way to do that. But to force people into something that's arguably uncomfortable, like women now having to have male genitalia in their bathroom, I think it's unfair to force that on people. I think there needs to be a dialogue with that issue. You should have a voice on what bathroom you would like to use. But women should also have a voice on whether or not they want a penis in their restroom. And the same goes for men. I don't really have an issue with a woman coming into the men's bathroom and using it. I don't have an issue. But it is going to make some people uncomfortable, and they need to have a voice. This isn't about being right or wrong. It's being fair. It's allowing people to speak up and have their opinion heard. I got to be honest with you. If I had a daughter and my wife, and I knew there was a man going into their restroom right behind them, transgender or not, I'm going to feel a little uncomfortable. Not because they're transgender, but it's because it's a penis inside a female restroom. And people can take advantage of that. That's pretty much all I have to say on the issue. I hope you hear me out. It's hard to talk about this, and I'll tell you why. Because right away, liberals will be like, oh, you are homophobe, sex. It's just ridiculous. That argument is so old. No, just because someone has a differing opinion from yours doesn't make them those things. I 100% support equality for all people. But is it equality when you're willing to trade somebody else's comfort to impose your own? That's the question I'm asking you. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned. We're probably going to talk guns very soon, gun rights, the Second Amendment. Obviously, we talk about the First Amendment a lot, and I also want to touch on the issue of race a little more. This is In the Pencils. Find us on Facebook, Twitter. Just give it a search. INDEPENCILS. Thank you, and have a good day.